everybody, welcome to What Culture. I'm Scott, joined by Josh.
Hello.
Now, the latest thing doing the rounds in Star Wars fandom is McClunky.
Yeah, Scott, what does this mean? I saw it last night. I couldn't believe it. I saw it on Twitter, right? And I thought it was a joke. I thought it was some kind of weird, edit someone had put together just to take the mick a little bit. And then I realised it's not.
So one of the things doing the rounds is a fan-compiled edit where various characters say McClunky, but no, it turns out that it is actually a new thing, and it takes place in the infamous Han shot first scene with Greedo. And so, yeah, this whole thing happens where obviously Han Solo faces off against Greedo, and now in the new version that's on Disney+, Greedo, just before he goes to shoot Han, just says McClunky out of nowhere, as you do. Turns out that this thing actually came from George Lucas, though. A rep for Disney talked to The Hollywood Reporter and said that this was actually in place before the acquisition in 2012, which is really weird because it then didn't show up in the digital release in 2015 when they then put out their new version of A New Hope. But it is now in the Disney Plus version, which is why it's gaining so much traction now. So it is just weird in terms of, Lucas being able to sort of have these things that are, remnant changes that were there all along, but didn't drip out until now. I guess I will explain what McClunky means. There are things out there for what McClunky means.
Please do, Scott, because obviously I'm looking at this as a Star Wars fan who isn't really diving into it, just thinking it's a good bit of banter. But is there more to it than just a random scene that George has gone, you know what, before I sell this massive property, I'm going to have one little...
I'm just going to detonate it a little bit.
One little prank, one extra prank to a scene that I've tinkered with so many times before, in that everyone, loves having more things tinkered with. So,
at least he didn't put a giant rock in front of his face this time. It could have been a lot worse.
Right, this entire video can't just be about how much we hate those revisions
Not
in
yet,
Star
it
Wars.
can't. We'll do that after this. But yeah, so McClunky, according to Brian Young, who's the owner of the official Star Wars blog, compared it to something that Sebulba says in episode 1. Literally, there's something that Sebulba says. Hopefully, we can throw the clip on screen. Where he's talking to Anakin, and he says a word that sounds a lot like McClunky, but in Huttese. And so when he's talking to Anakin, apparently it means this will be the end of you, which is the thing that he says before they go into the big pod race.
Would make sense having a duel, that kind of makes sense. Is it needed?
No.
Probably not, but it is quite a cool little tidbit. I didn't know that. I thought it was just some random thing that he shouted before getting killed, but if he's actually being more aggressive, I think, you know what? Might be a controversial opinion.
Why?
Maybe I like that.
Why can't Han just shoot first?
Because we're too far past that rabbit hole, Scott. This has been such a thing on the internet that I'm actually kind of exhausted about it. Yeah, this has sort of brought me back to life. Like the hand shot first sort of meme and discussion was so overdone.
Yeah.
And George, God bless him, has somehow found to inject more life into it.
I tell you what, have you watched this whole scene frame by frame? Because they've changed more than just McClunky.
What else have they changed?
It's very, very minuscule frame by frame stuff. They've changed the firing on the blasters so that they're both at the exact same time. But he does say it's not one or the other anymore. It's the exact same frame now, just for the lols. And the other thing is the McClunky thing, which I guess would give him more of a reason to fire or whatever. They kind of want to do all this stuff that sort of softens Han Solo. Oh, he definitely needed to shoot. Even though the Mandalorian is out there just cutting people in half.
I cannot believe that I'm going to get in this again in 2019. But how does this make sense? If they both shoot at the same time, right? That still means Greedo misses from point blank range when he's sat down because he's not getting hit first.
No, they kept the head jut. They kept that. You know the little bit where he goes, whoop, they still kept that, but they edit the scene differently so that it cuts to Greedo's the actor falling over instead of just the model.
I saw that, yeah.
So he goes McClunky, they fire at the exact same time, the little head jut, and then it cuts to, it's really messily edited to be honest now, but you have this sort of weird cloud of smoke and then Greedo falls down. I think if you didn't have any comparison, you would just go with it.
Yeah.
But there is just that weird reality of it just looking strange and tampered with, and just messy at this point.
It's one of those things that makes me wonder what else George has in store, if anything. Like, what other revisions can be made? And also, everyone was sort of looking forward to A New Hope, especially because the rights were always a weird issue for Disney, whether or not they could sell it on DVD and stuff and Blu-ray. Now they have the streaming rights, obviously, but the dream was always that we would get the original versions back.
Yes.
And for at least the moment, anyway,
could not be more opposite.
Absolutely not the case. Yeah, like you said, it couldn't be more opposite. In fact, there's more alterations that we can enjoy finding.
Yeah, I think if this is the weird thing, the thing is, the explanation for this doesn't make any sense in regards to, well, it was there since 2012. Why didn't you get rid of it? I don't understand. Unless they had some sort of verbal contract with him, some sort of verbal agreement with him to carry it forward. And like you said, that means there could be all sorts of different changes that are going to be in the movies once people start combing them and going frame by frame and analysing everything else.
It's
weird.
pure speculation on my behalf, but like you said, I wonder if there was something in the contract that George and Disney signed that said, you know, you can't make any changes to this. You're getting them as is, and you can't take anything out that I've put in since. I don't know. That's just random, wild thoughts on my behalf.
It's
but
not-
that would kind of suck. But
Yeah.
it would make sense if I was George Lucas. You know what I mean? Because he obviously believes in the changes he's made. Although a lot of fans, you know, don't like them, he is making them for a reason. He really thinks that, you know, it's making his art
You
better.
think he really believes in McClunky?
I don't know why else he would put it in if he didn't believe in it, Scott. I mean, maybe the guy just, you know, has too much time on his hands and he likes tampering. But he's obviously, you know, had a thing about that scene. He's had a thing about that scene for a long, long time. He obviously has, you know, not liked the way it turned out originally, or at least in hindsight. So I do believe that he believes in the changes he's making.
He wakes up in a cold sweat, realizing that he's not edited the scene. McClunky! He's like, runs to the editing studio. He's like, Disney, I need you to put the thing in that I told you about back in 2012. It's ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. But whatever. Let us know what you think down in the comments below of McClunky and the potential explanation that it is something in her tease that Sebulba also said from episode 1. But for now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I've been Josh from WhatCulture.com.
I'll catch you next time.
Bye.